Hale Cook Elementary was built in the early 20s, I believe, so it has a lot of really old-fashioned, wonderful characteristics. There's a beautiful auditorium with a grand piano. There are doors outside, exterior doors in each classroom so that kids can immediately access outside to go learn in an open environment. And there's a lot of big windows. One room has a really charming fireplace. So Friends of Hale Cook, we've been inside trying to spruce it up and assess what would need to make, what would we need to do in order to open the school from a physical perspective. And we're really excited about the potential that we see inside.
About 2.5 years ago, we were invited to a community meeting over at Ward Parkway Presbyterian Church, and it was basically a meeting to come and talk about this school in our neighborhood called Hale Cook. And basically the meeting was to discuss options of what we wanted to see happen with Hale Cook. Just a few months earlier, it had been closed at the end of the 2009 school year. It was closed. It had previously been a preschool. They had about 200 preschool students in there. They were being bused in from all around the Kansas City School District. And so when we had our meeting at Ward Parkway Presbyterian, it was our Neighborhood Homes Association coming together to simply talk about what do we want to see happen with Hale Cook. Of course, it wouldn't be our decision, but we at least wanted to know kind of where we stood as a neighborhood.
The Friends of Hale Cook movement got started. It was a group of concerned parents who wanted additional educational opportunities for their kids who live in the Kansas City area. Currently in the area, there are a number of really good quality public schools and some great charter options and some good, more selective public school options, but they're based on a lottery, so you're not guaranteed admission to any one great school. So the Friends of Hale Cook came together around this idea that as a parent, you should have one option to be able to send your kid to a great public school. It didn't cost anything, you'd be guaranteed admission and guaranteed a great education for your kids. So this group came together and has been working with the neighborhood and trying to engage the community through businesses and different events and just trying to get our message out there about reopening Hale Cook as our neighborhood public school.
The effort to understand what the use of this building could be came from the community. The neighbors basically around the facility approached the school board to ask what the plans were for this building. The intent had always been that the building was mothballed to be reopened by the district as a public school, but there was no kind of plan or foreseeable timeline for when that would actually happen.
We went through many different options, including would we want to be a community center, we want it to be turned into condos, what we want to see happen to it. And their consensus as we left the meeting was our entire neighborhood wanted it to be a school. So we walked away with the belief that our neighborhood wanted to see Hale Cook be a school again someday. So from that, there began kind of a community, a growth of community support of people who said, yeah, we want to see this happen too. So the next meeting was held over at Broadway United Methodist Church, now Keystone United Methodist Church. And that was attended by a much larger group of people. There were probably 80 people that came to that meeting. And at the time, it was basically coming together to say, what do we want to see happen? At that point, there wasn't necessarily a lot of thought about what it would actually take for the school to be reopened. Instead, it was just this kind of excited energy that was happening.
So the community was pretty excited about the possibility, and the district proposed a solution to them that if they could put together a certain number of people to enroll in that first year, which is about 350 people in year one, they would reopen the building. From that, we were very ambitious and a little naive in our hopes, but we thought we could make this work. And so we started canvassing the neighborhood, hosted a series of events, including open houses and visioning exercises, and brought together an increasingly growing number of parents and interested community members.
So knowing that we wanted to work with the public school district as it exists now, we first went to the superintendent under the old administration, and he asked us to basically get 350 kids to sign up to enroll in Hale Cook. And at this point, we didn't even know if the school would be open. So asking parents to enroll a child in a school that may or may not open was a really difficult task.
We set off on an enrollment campaign. We got yard signs, which a lot of which still sit in our neighborhood and people's yards. We started a new website. We've got a Facebook page, a Twitter account. We started, hitting the streets with our information. We did a lot of door to door, with information, asking people about their level of interest, encouraging people to fill out enrollment forms. And so this enrollment campaign lasted about 2 months, where we sought to get 350 students enrolled in the district. And the the caveat was they had to be new to the district. So they couldn't just be any student to enroll. They had to be students who were new to the district.
We failed to meet that first year threshold of 350 interested new students, but what we did find was that people were very supportive and very curious to see how this could work. As a result, we formally incorporated as Friends of Hale Cook to support a longer term effort to kind of find a more organic approach to reopening the building.
We held several open houses. In order to get in and host the open houses, we first had to clean up the school. It's been closed for several years, so you'd imagine there's lots of dust and just things that we needed to spruce up. So we went in the school and did a lot of cleaning up and tried to stage some classrooms and then invite parents in just to envision what Hale Cook Elementary could look like.
Our mission has always been to create a neighborhood school model which has a community center component, that we see a school building not just as an asset to the children in the neighborhood but the entire community. With that in mind, we've created a series of events over the last couple of years to engage community members with and without children on campus on a regular basis. We've had parents and community volunteers come and help us maintain the lawns by mowing the campus and also building a community garden. We had a very successful butterfly maze that was developed and designed and planted last year. And we were very excited to have people come out once a month to be part of maintaining that, as well as watering the garden on a regular basis outside of those monthly community work days. We've also done other things. We have a partnership right now with the Centurions, which is a Chamber of Commerce leadership program here in the greater Kansas City area. And they are helping us now build an edible forest, which essentially will provide fresh food and vegetables for local food pantries. So we're very excited about this partnership, which brings more than 80 organizations together on this campus to basically help bring something back to the community.
The garden is really a symbol, I think. It's a way of getting people on campus, getting people interested, and it's a great way that neighbors walk by and see this great garden that we've built through just sweat equity and volunteer donated items, just getting the message out about our school and the neighborhood model.
After that was done, we kind of began to process towards another enrollment campaign, kind of tweak some things. But as we moved into the next school year and began that enrollment campaign, we realized that this was an impossible task. To find 350 students to enroll new to the district every year just wasn't probably ever going to happen. So we kind of tried to think about new options. But during that time, there was a lot of upheaval in the district.
City school superintendent wants out. Last night, Dr. John Covington stunned school board members with his resignation.
But no one is more shocked or even hurt than parents.
Last August 2011, the existing superintendent of the school district resigned.
And we basically lost all of our contacts that we had previously had in the district office.
Was this worth pursuing? Is this something that we thought we could attain with such high instability in the district? Quickly, the district was able to bring on Dr. Green, Dr. Stephen Green, as our current superintendent, who was moved from interim and hired on as the full-time superintendent. And he's been equally accessible to us. We've tried to be very inclusive in our approach and work with the district, not opposing the district, which I think is something that has been kind of unique in the way we've operated.
In our first meeting with Dr. Green, he basically said, stop worrying about enrollment. Let's find out if there's a demand for a school in your neighborhood. Let's work on feasibility. So he encouraged us to do a feasibility study and to find out whether there was some sort of demand from our community for a neighborhood elementary school.
We, in the course of performing the feasibility study, we surveyed more than 550 community members, both with and without children, to understand what their support and interest would be in having a neighborhood school here at Hale Cook.
We got about 20 letters of support from area businesses, including Brookside Business Association, Waldo Business Association, and Southtown Council, which represent about 800 businesses in the community, churches, individuals, people who moved to Kansas, who wrote letters explaining why they moved to Kansas and why they wished Hale Cook had been reopened so they could send their students there.
The district should reopen Hale Cook Elementary because in completing this feasibility study, we've seen that there are a number of parents who who have kindergartners, first graders, and even pre-K students who would enter the school in the coming years have shown quite a bit of interest in the school. So we feel that there is certainly a market to open the school and grow the school so that in the coming few years there'll be a classroom space for those kids who are interested.
And fundamentally, we believe that the best way to work to repair the public school system in our city is to work from within the system by opening a public school.
So about a week ago, we sent the feasibility study to Dr. Green, the superintendent, and we have set up a meeting with him, which is happening soon, where we will present our findings to him. He will already have seen the findings in the feasibility study, but we'll just discuss what we've discovered and talk through the things that we've proposed to him, and hopefully continue to make that case to him for reopening Hale Cook. And so after the fact, our goal is that we can convince Dr. Green and that he will ultimately take the feasibility study himself to the school board and propose it to the school board.
This process has been incredibly rewarding, but it's not without its challenges. I think just in meeting with so many different members of the community and neighborhood, challenging that perception that public schools can't be a viable option has been a big challenge that we've seen. We hope to turn that around.
I think the primary hurdle in this whole process is perception. There's a strong perception in our community, some rightly so, and some unfounded, that Kansas City schools are not worth sending your kids to, Kansas City public schools. And this perception is based on about 40 years of our neighborhood, our surrounding neighborhood, abandoning the school district, and the school district going downhill in terms of academics and different things like that. We've had over 20 superintendents in the past 40 years. We're averaging about 18 months per superintendent. So the administration hasn't necessarily been stable.
I don't think this is something that you can quit on. I think what we need to do is educate people about why this is very important. I think there is a lot of history in Kansas City as to why people have been resistant to change or reluctant to try something new, because there is a legacy and a reputation of failure. I think that we are at a critical juncture as a city, and we need to make this work. There is really no option, and I think Friends of Hale Cook is one step to a multi-step process. We've always created our model based on the idea of replication across other schools, across multiple communities and neighborhoods. And we've already reached out to schools like Hartman Elementary and Southwest Early College Campus to engage them in discussion about creating comparable organizations that could partner with these schools for academic success.
One of the primary reasons I personally got involved in this effort is that I believe that our public schools in Kansas City have been neglected for a long time by a large portion of our city. And in neighborhoods where there used to be children walking to school, and there used to be parents volunteering in schools, and there used to be community events in schools, now the people in those same neighborhoods don't even know if the school's open or not. And in some ways we can blame the district, but I think those of us who are citizens, who are part of our neighborhoods, we should only look at ourselves and say, if I don't know what's going on in my local public school, I only have myself to blame. And so when I see the schools being neglected, I think the only thing that I can do is work to try to transform that. And so my passion is for the entire Kansas City School District. I believe that we can turn this thing around. I believe that we can see this school district transformed. And I believe that once again, that this entire school district, this can be one of the premier public schools in America. And it wasn't that long ago that Southwest High School was known around the country as one of the best public high schools in the country. And I think we can get there again. And it's only going to happen if those of us who have abandoned the schools will go back and be willing to be a part of it. That's the only way that it's going to happen.